citizens of the world. Shaba Shams here with former Shaba Speaks, upcoming Shaba Learn and Earn podcast, or should I say pod show. Our aim is to inspire, empower, and connect the citizens of the world to create success and achieve financial freedom. And along this line today, I have a very special guest with me, Miss Danae Davis, who has this wonderful experience and expertise working with cottage kitchen people and business owner to help them do just that. How can we help different families from all walks of life to earn money, to gain financial freedom, to take care of their families and working from the comfort of their kitchen? And what are the ups and the downs of being a cottage kitchen business owner? So my guest today is Miss Danae Davis. Welcome, welcome. She's also the founder of Kitchen to Market, right? I am so excited to have you. So a little bit about yourself, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Shaba. And as she said, my name's Danae Davis, and I am the founder of kitchentomarket.club. And it was formerly the Foodpreneur Institute. And one of the reasons it was the Foodpreneur Institute because I taught food entrepreneurship in North Carolina. I contracted out throughout the state and taught online courses and face-to-face courses before COVID. But I fell in love with the cottage food industry when I moved to North Carolina in 2005. And at that time, there were only 9 states in the US that had cottage food laws.
Wow.
Today, there are 50, all 50 states. New Jersey
was just added, correct? You and I spoke on the phone and I'm like,
yes.
New Jersey doesn't have, and you're like, no, they just added it. So that's
did.
Good news.
Yes, on October 4th. So they are official. And the beauty of cottage foods, and a lot of people still don't know anything about it, is that you can prepare non-hazardous foods in your home kitchen and sell to the consumer. It is perfectly legal. And every state has a different law, rules and regulations. So you'll need to check with either your Department of Agriculture or your health department. One of the two entities will be overseeing cottage food operations. And oh my goodness, where do
we begin, right?
Where do we begin?
I got a feeling we're going to be hours and hours into this.
Oh my goodness, we could be.
We're going to go ahead.
We could be, because I started in cottage foods in 2007 and I sold pies, and it was just an amazing experience. I couldn't believe that I could just bake something from home and sell it and get money. And for people who are looking for a little hot side hustle, and if they're a pretty good baker or cook, because you can make things like marshmallows. If you have, I know a dear Ethiopian friend of mine, she makes Berber spice. It depends on what and you can sell it. And within the rules and regulations, of course, of your state. Now, the cottage food industry is just growing and growing, but I see it as a gateway to starting a commercial food business. You know, Mrs. Fields had cookies, Famous Amos. I mean, everybody has created something from their home kitchen and taken it to the next level. And you can do the same with your cottage food product.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just interesting, especially with COVID, so many restaurants closed and the brick and mortar businesses, they couldn't manage, the situation. And therefore they moved to the cottage kitchen space. And actually, there are reports that there are a higher number of permits required or requests, from people who are actually getting into this industry. Before we start talking about the regulations and how to set it up and the ins and the outs, navigating the water, Danae, what is cottage kitchen business? Let's start with the fundamentals, because I feel like I say cottage kitchen because I'm within the culture, but I realize a lot of people, they don't even know what that is. And it's like, cottage kitchen? What is that? So let's start with defining the cottage kitchen business.
Sure, absolutely. The history behind it stems from England, of course. And what happened was ladies, homemakers, would prepare baked goods. That was the cottage food of choice. And what they would do is they prepare these baked goods in their home kitchen, and they would sell them for pence or 2 pence, which is a couple pennies. They would take the money, put it in a jar, and if the family ever got in a tight, then mom would go to her penny jar, her pence jar, and she had extra money. And they don't call their homes homes, they call them cottages. And so therefore, that's kind of where the cottage food industry here in the United States got its name. Now, every state may call it something different, but the bottom line is it's a cottage food operation, which means that you're preparing specific foods, non-hazardous. You cannot cook. The food cannot be impacted by time or temperature. But other than that, you can prepare it. And every state has a list. If you go on their website, if you go on kitchentomarket.club, CLUB, there is a map. And if you click around the map, it will give you every single cottage food page for that state. And so you can read it and you'll know exactly what you can and cannot prepare. But that's where it came from.
Sorry, go ahead. So as you work with many of cottage food business owners, what have you perceived or seen as the biggest challenge for anyone who wants to be a cottage kitchen startup?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I started Kitchen to Market, formerly the Foodpreneur Institute, because I like to deal with the business of food. I found that the business aspect, how to run an actual business, was missing from a lot of folks. We all know that the food is fun. We know baking is fun.
Okay.
We love what we make.
Oh, yeah.
But when you step out into the community and you have to sell your product to the consumer, that's a whole different ballgame. And you've got to know how to properly price. You've got to know how to structure your business. Are you going to be a sole proprietorship, an LLC? What are you going to do? You also need to know how to buy liability insurance. Some states dictate that you have it. Some don't care if you don't have it. So you've got to understand and learn the business of cottage foods.
Learn, a very important component, I believe. And then you and I spoke on the phone for quite some time. And something that really hit me when you said they don't know what they don't know. So the learning component is very, very crucial. And I shared with you my own personal story. As an immigrant woman, I came to this country some years ago. And in the beginning, the 5 first years, actually, I started a catering business. And I invested a lot of money, which I lost, clearly, because I didn't continue in the business because I didn't know. I didn't know that I could start small and simple and easy with the cottage food. So I invested in a certified kitchen and so on and so forth. And you know how pricey that is. So how do we get the information to the families, the women who have kids at home? They know how to cook and bake and they would love to make money out of it, but they're intimidated. The language barrier, the culture barrier, the how do I manage life barrier. So how do we market even the possibility for certain demographics and through which channels to inform these people and know what they don't know?
Okay, well, first, that's why Kitchen to Market is here. And let me just say, Kitchen to Market, it's not designed for you to join as a member and stay as a member. And a lot of people don't realize that. We've got a lot of folks in there, but and even though it's $97 a month, you can take 30 days and go through all of it because it is the introduction to the business of cottage foods. And you can ask me any question. We have staff on. We have a 24/7 24/7 office hours, which means at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you come up with a question and you put it in there, when we get on at 7 a.m., we are going to answer you back. But I would start there, reading your cottage food law. If there's something about your cottage food law that you don't understand, please bring it to us. But read your cottage food law, highlight the areas you don't understand. Every cottage food agency has a phone number. Call them and ask them. You can ask them about if there's a food that's not on there and you want to make it. Ask them. Ask them, listen, can you add marshmallows? I want to make marshmallows. And they'll tell you yes or no. Second, to get the word out as a cottage food operator, start small. Just
meaning one product,
I say 1 to 3. I'm going to be honest with you. Ask yourself, what's the best thing you know how to make? Yeah. That's where you start. What are you known for? Everyone is known for something in their community, in their church, at the community center. Everyone, that lady makes amazing rum cakes. Then that's what you start with. Mm-hmm. And then to start getting the word out, tell people. Nobody knows about you if you don't open up your mouth.
Yeah. You've got to tell people what you do. Yeah.
Yes. And be proud of what you do. You know, I know there's a little hesitation there because you think someone's going to say something negative, but remember, you're going into business and you are not always feeding your family and friends.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Your first sale feeds your ego. Returning customers feed your wallet. And as long as you remember that, you'll be fine. There are always going to be those family and friends that are going to buy from you, but you need repeat customers. And those are people who fall in love with your food.
So some of the cottage food makers that I know, they get into this habit of making way too many things. So what would you recommend to that? Is it better probably to just focus on 1 to 2 products instead of having a repertoire of I do it all?
You don't have to do it all. First of all, if you're trying to do it all, you're not making money on everything. Mm-hmm. So I always recommend that you select 1 to 3 items. Please don't try to make more than 3 items. What is your best seller? And I know a lot of times folks will think that, well, no, everybody won't. Yes, you've got to get out there and market that bestseller. You've got to talk to people and tell them why it's popular and why everybody buys it. Let me put it this way. You have to understand that when you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 products, you have to keep the ingredients for all those products in your pantry.
Yeah.
I tell people right now, go to your pantry, open it up, and I want you to look for food products that you haven't touched in 3 to 6 months. I guarantee you've got some in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. That's money. If I gave you a $10 bill and said, I want you to put this $10 bill, all these $10 bills on each one of the products that's been in there for 3 months, how much money would you have? So no, you don't want a lot of products. You just want 1 or 2, maybe 3. Build a following around that. You will if you understand how to market properly. And you need a marketing mix, which means you have to be on social media. You have to also get out there and, if you're in a small community or a town, put out flyers, go to the city council meetings and make sure that you feed those people. Because anybody in government has big mouths, they like to talk, and you want to make sure that you get eyeballs on your product. Work with nonprofits. Could your rum cake be a fundraiser? Does your cottage food law allow that? If you make cookies, could your cookies be a corporate gift for Christmas.
That's a good idea.
Oh, we have lots of ideas that we can share depending on your cottage food law, though. You've got to work within the law.
Food influencers, YouTubers, Instagrammers who have the passion for cooking and baking. And actually, I saw a video where this gentleman, who was a young man, made a chocolate cake in 150 hours. And one of the things that I was thinking about, can he auction it? How much would you pay for a chocolate cake that you make in 150 hours? So do you think that the YouTubers, food influencers, should penetrate the market of the cottage food industry and sell their baked good based on the law, of course?
Well, I mean, you can. I mean, you could have your own auction. You can have an Instagram bakery. Many pastry chefs went to Instagram when COVID hit, and they started selling through their Instagram shop. And what people had to do, and I recommend this for all cottage food operators, make sure that you are pre-order, prepay. Nobody pays you right up front. They pay in advance, they order in advance. You've got your money to work with to produce the product, and they're guaranteed their product so that they know they're going to get it from you. But absolutely, yeah.
Prepay, pre-order. I like that. And then deliver. Yeah, I should probably write that down. Pre-order, prepay. What is the biggest, I mean, you've been doing it for such a long time, right? Throughout your journey and the journey of so many others like you, cottage food business owners, what have been the most rewarding thing? What is it that you have done that you felt like so freaking good about?
Oh my goodness. Well, it depends on what you sell and the type of food that you sell. I can share my experience. I made pies, but I didn't just make any old pie. I made what I like to call heirloom pies from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. And I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was in uptown Charlotte, very old neighborhoods. So I knew my demographic. I knew my target audience, people between the ages of 39 and 54, and then 55 and 91. And I knew what they liked. They were looking for what grandma used to bake, what grandma had on Sunday for dinner when I went over when I was a little girl. And so one of my best sellers, in fact, they call it the Johnny Cash pie. It's a pineapple pie. And I have actually walked through what I did and how to sell it. And it's in Kitchen to Market, complete with the recipe. And I can tell you, I sold that pie for between $35 and $38. Takes you less than $4 to make. So you're going to make money with that pie.
Yeah.
Yes.
A very good margin right there.
And the story behind it is a true story. Johnny Cash's mom used to make him this pie every time he came in off the road from performing. And I'm going to tell you, the pie is delicious. And I'm not a big pineapple eater, but I'll eat that pie. It's very good.
Wow. Yeah, I think I saw the recipe and along the line, beautiful platform you have there. And I was interested in a segment that you had on pricing.
Yes.
I know, because like I said, I used to own a catering business, and pricing was a big deal. And you mentioned something that I really, it resonated nicely with me, but there was a question mark that I wanted to kind of ask you about it. You say, do not fluctuate your pricing. Stop doing a promo today with your lower price, and then you come back and then you go back to your price, and then you go do another promo, which seems a little odd, because in the marketplace we go for promos, we go for sales, we go for like, oh, here is a Thanksgiving, buy two pies for one price or something like that, reduced pricing. But you don't seem to think that these reductions are serving you well as a cottage
Not as a cottage
business
food.
What are your thoughts?
Not as a cottage food operator, because you have to understand your marketplace is not stagnant. And you're going to have, as a cottage food operator, first of all, you're not going to be in business long enough if you're just starting out to see what's going on, how people are going to purchase. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season, and a lot of people think they're going to get really busy. They're going to make a lot of money. And then right around the middle of January or even the middle of February, they're going to flatline, and they're going to think that they're doing something wrong, and they're not. Cottage foods are often seasonal.
Yeah.
And they go with the seasons when people are looking for something unique to eat. Now, in the wintertime, I don't know how it is there in Florida, but in other places in the US, people kind of snuggle in and they kind of eat their comfort food.
Yeah.
Now, in Florida, you can go to farmers markets still, but in a lot of places in the US, you can't. And so a lot of cottage food operators, they really hurt. And that's why I say, get your money while you can, while you are out there. You don't have to give people a deal. They don't deserve a deal. Why? Because if I make a pound cake and you buy a pound cake from Publix or Harris Teeter or Kroger, flip over the ingredient label and you tell me what you want to eat.
Absolutely. Danae, I'm going to share with you something, because you mentioned Florida and the market, the farmers market, which is quite interesting. So I took a picture on last Saturday. So as you know, I was traveling for my birthday, and I was at Panama City, and then Panama City Beach. Actually, was staying there. But I stopped by this farmers market on Saturday, and there were hardly 15 tents, and among them maybe two baked goods. And it was freaking cold, as you know, for Floridians, you know, like here, if the temperature is 60 degrees, you know, people scream. Right. And then when it's 40 degrees, people like don't leave the house, like literally. And it was kind of really, it struck me, and that's why I took this image, that it doesn't matter where you are at. The truth of the matter is that I have seen since COVID a drop in the farmers market. You know, people don't go there as much. They're not even setting up tables. And another concern also for me is that you have to have a tent, you have to have a table, you have to rent the space. So you're investing already in all that before you even sell a loaf of bread to profit from it. See? So one of the ideas that we want to build a marketplace for people to actually sell their food, we're calling it Kittable. And it's an app, it's an application that connects the kitchen to table from around the globe, right? And we want to be that marketplace, the marketplace, like the Airbnb of the food industry, if you wish, that connects the vendors like yourself and like myself, who knows, to the consumer from whatever they are. And so how would a service like this be of value to the cottage food industry?
Well, I think if it is properly designed and allows people in the different communities to know who's selling in the community, I think it would be excellent. I recommend to a lot of cottage food operators when they're on Instagram to make sure that they are using the hashtags that are their city, their cross streets, even monuments that are in their location. Use hashtags so people will see, oh, this is the oh, she's over there by the George Washington Monument. I know exactly where she is.
Yeah.
You have to do that, because if people can't find you, they can't buy from you.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
And if I can add also with the app, it's not going to be just about the food producers. It's going to be about the community.
Absolutely.
So you're going to need community buy-in. You might want to get your visitors, every city has a visitor center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll want them to buy into this so that when visitors do come, if it's going to be an app, they can go and say, look, wow, there's somebody that makes this particular thing or represents this culture, and these are being made. So you kind of want to not just connect with food people, but community people.
That's a really good idea. And it is a community-based service because it's beyond just, oh, I want to eat something, where do I find it? It's about the education piece. It's about the food labeling as well. It's about the safety aspect of it. I mean, what we're building is a whole ecosystem that really enriches the way we eat, and we can find ourselves having options and choices. That if I want to eat, for instance, a Syrian dish or a Pakistani meal, I don't have just to look at where the next restaurant is, but I have options also to look who else can deliver or make the food for me. So we really want to disrupt, the food industry and the way we eat. And I believe in freedom food law. You and I had a conversation, right?
Yes.
So what do you think of freedom food law? Because it seems like there are some lobbyists and some lawyers as well who are actually pushing towards the freedom food law. And the reason is because they say that America was built on, the foundation of America is on freedom food law, because that's how the original farmers were making money. They were baking and cooking, and they were feeding others from their homes. Why should it be different now? Why are we changing and imposing more laws and regulations on people where the foundation of the country is freedom food law? What are your thoughts?
Shaba.
I'm asking the question.
It's political, it's politics, it's money. Food is big business. And if you think folks are gonna go down easy, they're going down kicking and screaming. That's one of the reasons why they don't like the micro enterprise kitchens and the food freedom, because then you put the creativity back in the hands of the consumer. And we can't do that because we've got restaurants. But the thing is, you brought up a perfect point about the farmers market. Not many people were there. It was very small. Do understand that COVID has changed the way we eat, and we are not going back. Now, we'll have farmers markets, but they'll be different. We'll have food halls, but they'll be different. And so we're going to have to learn to create our existence around this difference, this I don't know what it is yet.
The new way of living. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And then I was also thinking about another marketplace that a lot of cottage food operators use, and that's Facebook. Well, guess what? Sorry to say, Facebook sucks. It's been down for 8 hours. Yeah. And we don't know if any of this is going to happen, in addition to them being manipulative in the way we act and react as consumers. How can you trust a platform like this? So this is why I feel like there is really a need for something else. And we're going to bring in Kitable to connect, to be that market, the marketplace that connects the kitchen to the table in that regard.
Absolutely.
So we need alternative. I'm saying we need alternative, and we need to give more freedom to the vendor and to the consumer. And I call them vendors. I don't know if we should find them a different name.
No, that's what they are. But also, first and foremost, they're small business owners. And all small business owners in cottage foods should understand that the number one thing, and you heard it here first, that you have to do when you decide to sell a food product is to get as many people on your mailing list as possible. You have to control your email list, whether that's through MailChimp, ConvertKit. I don't care how you keep up with all those emails. Those are potential customers, returning customers. You have to have information on your customers. Do not count on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, anything, because if they ever go down, you will not have that information. If you have your own website and your own email list, then you can reach out and contact your customers, and they can support you when times are tough.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And then you talk about the importance of marketing the product. How did you go about marketing your own product, or was it maybe at a different time with your pies, for instance? Did you use social media? How did you market for your own product?
I did it the old-fashioned way. I was on Facebook, and I had a wonderful following. I wasn't on Instagram. I was on Facebook, and I had a marvelous website because my website was an e-commerce website. So people could go straight to the website, order their pies, tell me where they wanted to pick it up. I would drop the pies off, and that was it. They pre-ordered, prepay.
Nice.
Okay. But I got involved in the community. Now, I'm going to personally share with you what I did. I found, introduced myself to people who hosted or sponsored 5K runs.
Nice.
Private schools, Catholic schools. I went to the sororities, government officials that would party all the time, that gave all different types of parties. I got involved with folks and told them about my product. We had a 5K every year that ordered 200 mini pies from us. Every runner that completed the run, the 5K run, got a pie, got one of these little 5-inch pies.
And you got paid for that, right?
Yes.
And did you have a help?
Yes.
Help?
Yeah.
You had helpers. Were you at that point using your own home kitchen, or did you use a certified kitchen?
This is what I did. I got my kitchen licensed, and then I found a commercial kitchen that I could use when I needed it.
Very nice.
Now, here in North Carolina, you can do, and I don't know about other states, but here in North Carolina, you can have a production facility that is not open to the public. That means it's a building. It could be an old cafe or old kitchen or whatever it is, and you can go in and produce your product. You can't have people come and pick it up, but you can produce, have your ovens there, or it might already have ovens, and you can produce your product and then put your product in the truck and deliver it. Those are called production facilities, and there are many states that will allow you to do that.
And you reminded me, I live in D-Land between Orlando and Daytona Beach. And I used to live actually in Daytona. I just moved here a few years ago. And they do have community centers.
Yes.
And in every single building, they had an amazing kitchens.
Yes.
I never got as far as, asking for the pricing and renting. It was kind of a project in my mind to get back to the cottage kitchen. But these spaces are available, so people can actually look into them, because most of the time they're just closed. So I'm sure that they would be very happy to to have you rent them for a little fee, and they don't charge all that much either. I mean, I don't know exactly the fees, but it's not outrageous pricing wise. But community centers also can be a good solution, looking into renting a space, and some restaurants also would do it if they only open for dinner,
right?
So in the morning the kitchen is open, or on weekends they close on a Sunday, for instance, and you're like, can I come and use the kitchen and cook and bake? Usually they are a little hesitant about it, but you can work with them along this line, especially if the money is good.
Absolutely.
What are you working on right now? I know you are, running Kitchen to Market Club, and that
Yes.
seems to be going well. And you have a lot of exposure and connection and students and people you
Yes.
coach. What else are you working on that is exciting to you?
Well, I started coaching. Uh, I call myself a transformation coach, but I started coaching people who wanted to take the leap from employee to entrepreneur. And I started to do this for this reason. I found that a lot of the people in Kitchen to Market, wonderful folks, but there are a lot of folks, I want people to understand what it means to don't just quit your day job. Just don't do it. Make sure that you have, first of all, that this is what you want to do, because the very product that you start out with is not necessarily the product you end with. There's a lady that I knew that sold at a farmer's market. She made muffins and cupcakes. And one day, her husband took some granola she had made that Saturday morning, put it in Ziploc bags, slapped $5 on this little, I guess it was maybe a 4-ounce bag, and sold it for $5.
Mm.
All the cupcakes and muffins were left. The granola sold out.
Mm.
To this day, she now has her own co-packing facility. And so she will make baked goods and granola and other products for a company. And, co-packing is when you get someone to make it for you, and then they sell it, they get it out the door, and they give you a residual.
Hmm.
So, but that's what I'm doing right now is I want to work a lot of professionals. The great resignation is going on. And
Yeah, there
I'm
are
working.
job openings everywhere. Like everywhere you go, it's like job openings. We're hiring in all positions. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? I think there are just like people having the taste for freedom and then
Yes.
going through a phase where it's like, I can be my own boss. I can explore what I can do. And I think it's amazing. But the only scary thing maybe is that we're going to go to places and we won't have any employees, you know, helping us. I mean, there will
Right.
always be. But it's
Yeah.
really an interesting phenomenon just to see there is almost like a communal awakening to entrepreneurship, that it's like, I'm done working for X, Y, and Z. Let me see what I can do.
Exactly. And I work with a lot of people now. That's what I'm doing. But what I want to do with my coaching is to make sure I taught for almost 9 years critical thinking. And so I have a whole process, a whole format of I take them through the process of thinking about what they want to do. They have to learn before they leap. That has always been my motto for almost 30 years in education. You must learn before you leap. If you step out there and you don't know what you're doing, I'm just going to tell you, it's going to be painful. It won't kill you. It really won't, but it will be painful. So I just, that's where I am right now. I love what I do. I love coaching people who are, first of all, Shaba, they've been in corporate America for a long time. And they're like, I got this, Danae. It's a piece of cake. And then we start to talk and they go, maybe I don't have it.
It's a different world. Yeah,
It is.
it's a different world. I myself have experienced the same thing. I know that I've always had the seed of entrepreneurial or a business owner. I mean, I used to sell bracelets at the age of 9 years old, and I was always sold out. And I know that I am pretty skillful in terms of selling, and I love the idea and everything. But fate or my immigrant pathway when I came to the state was academia. So I spent my 20 years, between teaching and getting an education and master's degrees and things like that. And so I've been trained in that world of traditional education, which has a lot of flaws. I mean, as I got out of it, And I became an entrepreneur, and here I am sitting with high school dropouts. Who knew more about money than I did? Who knew more
Yes.
about how to manage life than I did? How to
Yes.
manage crises? How to manage
Yes.
their time? And you see them kicking, it's like, and they have this drive, this hunger. And I am in total awe of who they are and what they had become. And I'm like, my goodness, all this student loan and the time in education and the sacrifices and the nights that I spent studying with 3 kids on my shoulder, I could be doing that. Of course, a journey is a journey.
Yes.
Is what got you here.
Right.
Right now, I'm not gonna lie to you, Danae, that I am becoming such a pro self-education, pushing people into financial freedom and stop the bullshit of traditional education, because it's a flawed system. So yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my peers from this 10x incubator movement that we are part of, and she has a PhD. And she has a hard time also getting into the self-education and posting, and she's overthinking it, and she's like, we need to unlearn. We need to unlearn the flaws of traditional education and become more productive and more content creator and impact of others, and don't overthink things, because that's what we've been taught in traditional education. I wish I had learned this 20 years ago.
but you know it now, and if you learned it 20 years ago, there would have been something else. So you can't say that. You are right where you need to be, serving the people who need you. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. So now I speak of experience when someone is talking about, oh, I must get a degree and I must get a degree. And I'm like, think it. I mean, I'm not saying don't get a degree if that's really where your calling is. But think about where you want to go before you invest time and money in traditional education and then working for corporate America, then just to realize that you're not happy. You just want freedom, especially people who want freedom. If freedom is at your core of your burning desire, you will never be a good fit in any company or organization. So you better kind of trace a pathway towards self-employment, and empower yourself. Danae, what is your vision for the future? Where is Danae going from here?
Oh my goodness. I think that, I'd like to, because I love working with people. I love watching the light bulb go off when I can provide some insight. I'll probably coach until I'm my mother's age. My mother is 91. So, and beyond.
You have another 50 years to go.
I got another 50 years to go, but what a great coach I'll be. But I really do enjoy that. The only other thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to have my own YouTube channel. I have it now. I started it years ago, but I'm a cook, and I'm a pretty good cook. And I lived in Japan. I've lived in a lot of places, and I talked about heirloom pies. I would like to teach people and share my knowledge of what used to be, because a lot of the recipes and the cakes, pies, and the dishes that I know how to make are not eaten anymore. And we're not talking soul food. We're talking old-time food that just doesn't exist anymore because we got into fast food. We got into quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I'd like to do that, and then ultimately write a cookbook about it. That's part of my life, the food, the 360.
And what's holding you back from moving into that on your YouTube channel?
What I'm doing right now. Kitchen to Market, my goal is to find someone who I can hand Kitchen to Market over to. And I hope to do that. I'm sure that just like I had Kitchen to Market was spawned from homebasedbaking.com, which was a blog I had for home-based bakers. A woman in Connecticut saw the blog, asked me if I would turn it into a book, How to Start a Home-Based Bakery Business, which is on Amazon. So everything it's sort of all evolved, but ultimately I'd like for someone to take over Kitchen to Market. As far as coaching, that I'll probably never stop doing. I love it that much. And then I can move into, it's called Chez Denay. So my YouTube channel. So maybe I'll get back on that and start doing that. And that will finish out what I want to do and write a cookbook.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when my very first YouTube channel was like 7-8 years ago, which I just closed not long ago because it was actually some food videos that I shot. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Bad. The lighting was awful, but I was making these dishes from North Africa, and like you, I have this dream. And I would say a vision, because I believe our dreams turn into vision and they become goals, because most of my dreams have been achieved.
Okay.
I don't daydream. I don't night dream. I have visions that I plan for, and I put action to execute them. But I'm from the Mediterranean, and I am an Amazigh, which is like the native inhabitants of North Africa. And we're very indigenous, and we have such a culinary repertoire that is just out of this world. Right. And sometimes I feel sadness in my heart that I cannot, or that I need to find a way to capture my grandma's cooking. She has this bread that she makes with herbs. I've never seen anything like it anywhere in the world, and it's one of the best homemade bread flat that you can ever think of. And for years, actually, since I came to the state, but I was too busy doing other stuff, that I've been thinking about what can I do to capture these and then bring them to the US, and now familiarize the population here with a different type of cooking. And then my thing is a cilantro soup that I have from my country, that every single person who tries it, they're like, we want the recipe. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I cannot even share my recipe, because my goal is one day to see it on the shelves, just produce it and put it out on the shelf. But I don't know where to begin and where to start, and then definitely cookbooks have always been on my list. So maybe we can produce a cookbook. What is that? Like some indigenous cooking, or the unknown recipes of the world.
Yes.
How is that for a project? The unknown recipes of the world. And then we can bring in like these recipes that you have to dig for, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I can't even tell you. I think it was 2011 when I started my YouTube channel, and I didn't do a whole lot. You're right. The lighting's terrible. But my mom is from Louisiana, and she made gumbo, and I made the gumbo on YouTube. It has well over 1 million views.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it's like, I didn't think people would even care, because if you've ever seen Louisiana gumbo, it's not particularly attractive.
No, I haven't seen it or tried it.
Okay, it's ugly food. And I know folks are going to go, oh, Danae, don't say that, but it really isn't an attractive.
Yeah. But it probably tastes better than it looks.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
so I think you should do your cilantro soup. I'm going to tell you, nobody's going to make it You know, Americans are not going to make that. They're going to wait for it to come on the shelves.
Yeah, probably.
You know, you think people, we give folks way too much credit. People are, you know, they like what they like.
Yeah.
And then foods, you know, you have to be really creative to want to make cilantro soup, you know, or gumbo.
Yeah, passion. You know, Danae, I started cooking and baking when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
By the time I was 16, I could actually bake and cook everything from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really developed this passion. I love to feed people and I love to try new things. But here's my secret. I can make a dish and it's amazing. Do not expect me to make it again. You know, I have this very creative, you know, do it once and I'm not sure that I'm gonna make it next time. And it's like, so when I make something and people go like, oh my God, this is delicious. And I go like, enjoy it because it's one of a kind. Danae, the last question for you. What is your call to action?
What is my call to action?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. My call to action is that I'm going to put this out into the universe to whoever wants to grasp onto it, hold on to it, and act on it. If you are not happy in your life, in your work life, if you're not happy, please spend as much time as you need finding your passion, finding what makes you happy, finding what makes you want to leap out of the bed in the morning, because we have learned, if nothing, that life is short and it is not promised. Yeah. And there's just, I'm sorry, there's just too much beauty in the world, love in the world, kindness in the world to miss it. So go after what you want.
Amen.
And you have to promise me that.
Amen to that. I love it. I absolutely love it. And there are so many people who just live life in misery, and before they know it, they come and go, and they haven't really, you know, reached anything that they want, and they should take, you know, chances and risks on themselves.
Always.
Dear Danae, thank you so much for being here.
Shaba,
thank you. Thank you guys for watching. This is another episode, Learn and Earn, with Shaba Shams, as we speak about health, wealth, and health, wealth, and relationship to inspire, empower, and connect the citizens of the world to create success and achieve financial freedom. Thank you guys for being here, and I will get you on the next one. And salam.